Today's society should not be as concerned with Shakespeare as they currently are. It is already present in so many modern films as well as modern literature, and many of the plots and themes from Hamlet as well as other Shakespearean works are found in other pieces of modern literature. So we don't really need to read Shakespeare in order to become familiar with the plots of his plays. There are a plethora of movies and TV shows that are based off of different Shakespearean pieces. For example, The Lion King, She's the Man, and 10 Things I Hate About You are all based off of Shakespeare's plays. The only aspect of reading Shakespeare's original plays that's beneficial are the many sayings we get from his writing. Things like going on a wild goose chase, lying low, or breaking the ice are all phrases made popular by Shakespeare. But now that you know where they came from, does it change anything? Does it benefit you in any way? Of course, it's not a bad thing to know, but it isn't a crucial piece of knowledge needed to succeed in life. At this point in time, it's quite a challenge to dissect the text of one of Shakespeare's plays, which are written in Elizabethan English. It is still possible to understand what's going on in the text, however, it requires more focus than reading something that's been written in the last 100 years or so. As time goes on and the English language evolves, it will only become harder for students to understand what Shakespeare is trying to say. Here's an excerpt from Beowulf, a poem written somewhere between the 8th and 11th centuries. As you can see, it uses letters that are no longer present in our alphabet, and it also is nearly impossible to understand what's being said. Now, I don't expect the English language to change nearly that much in my lifetime, but it's important to note that our language is constantly changing. School is not necessarily the best place to let your creative juices flow, so to speak. In a TED Talk by Ken Robinson, he expressed that the current education system isn't allowing children to properly unleash their creativity. Teaching something so outdated isn't making students want to engage or feel passionate about their work. That's not to say that no one should read it, but if we replaced Shakespeare, or Hamlet in particular, with a more modern text and analyzed it in a similar way, students would be able to take those skills and apply it to Shakespeare on their own time if they really felt they were missing out. Hamlet feels very similar to other works by Shakespeare. There's murder, suicide, royalty, love, mystery. Those are all themes also present in Macbeth and Julius Caesar. These themes and ideas from Hamlet have been used and reused. As mentioned before, The Lion King is basically a modern-day rendition of Hamlet. The movie is shorter than Hamlet and meant for children, but it still conveys the same ideas that Shakespeare was trying to portray, but it's shown to children in kindergarten. Maybe once kids reach high school, and it's time to teach them about Hamlet, try showing them The Lion King again, and they will most likely be more engaged than if they were to read the original text from the 1500s. I don't want to come off sounding like nobody likes Shakespeare, because there are obviously many people that do enjoy it, but reading a book is an easy thing to do on your own time, and it should not be so prominent in the current education system. If anything, I feel as though Shakespeare might have a better place in an American history class, instead of in every single English class throughout high school. What are we actually learning from Shakespeare? Why is it so crucial that we learn this from him? Can't we find that same information elsewhere? Well, sometimes you can. The plots of many Shakespearean plays are present in more modern works, as stated before, and his sayings are still used in spoken language as well in modern literature. So why is it taking up so much of the English curriculum? Hamlet in particular isn't a book that's so incredibly unique that we must keep it around. Books like Dark Highway by Anne D'Angelo contain many of the same themes but are presented in a more modern and relatable fashion. Shakespeare should instead maybe be taught in one grade and not in all 4 years of high school. Or it could be brought up as reference for other pieces of literature. For example, most of us know who Sigmund Freud is and a bit about how much he's influenced the modern world of psychology, but your English teachers don't usually shape their entire class around him. Schools seem to spend so much time focusing on one person when they could be attempting to study something that sparks the interest of their students. Reading The Great Gatsby taught us about life in the 20s, and it was easy to read and understand. But there will come a point in time when that too becomes outdated, and I think that it's time we stepped away from Shakespeare and incorporated something new into the English curriculum. We could instead use small pieces of Shakespeare's literature and have each student read their own text and later relate it back to the themes and excerpts from the Shakespearean pieces. It would spark students' interest reading something they are interested in, more so than reading a plethora of books by the same author with the same themes every year. We can learn from other books too, like Lord of the Flies, which deals with human nature as well as conflict between teenagers, which could be a lot more beneficial to students because they can relate to the characters. Hamlet, along with many of Shakespeare's plays, are outdated and frankly replaceable, which is why schools should be focusing and appreciating other literature by different authors. It's time for something new.